everyone. You are watching FaceTime Stories presented by Grooming Gurukul. And this is the second episode of the first season. And in this episode, we have a woman next door who has been through enough, not just in her hometown or in her country, but staying away from India. She battled her personal life issues, domestic issues, working issues. So now she's back in Bangalore. She's heading EdTech startup company as a branding and marketing head. So let's please welcome Anuradha Mukherjee. Hi, Anu.
Hey Geeta, thank you so much for inviting me on your FaceTime stories at Grooming Gurukul. It's been a pleasure being here.
It's been our absolute pleasure and delight to have you here. So Anu, you have been away from India for quite some time now. So could you just take us through your journey away from here? How was it? And what made you come back to India?
Yes, it was 2010 when I had left Bangalore with my 1.5-year-old son. I was doing great at my professional front, especially. I was working with Dell and I was at the peak of my career, but I had to move because my ex-husband got a transfer to Kenya, and we all moved along with my son, and I had to follow him, forgetting my friends, the food I used to love eating here, my family, my career, of course. And then I was looking forward to the family life that all of us will be together, because as a woman, and especially a woman like me, I give a lot of priority to my family. And I thought, let me take this sabbatical, give it a quick break to bring up my son. Probably it would be good for all of us, and be there. So you can imagine the kind of excitement that I had within me, because not only I was moving to a different city, a different country, but a whole new continent altogether. And we have all seen Africa to be a very beautiful place where you see the wilderness, the animals, and the migration, the great grand migration, Discovery Channel. And yes, so I was looking forward to that. And a few months went by very well, very colorful and rosy and amazing. And then finally, the reality hit very soon. My worst nightmare began to happen, and it was very excruciating to go through a life in a whole new place where you had. Of course, you had left your parents behind, your friends behind, and it was a new place. Yes. So it was painful, quite unhealthy for me to live in an environment like that. And every time I would think that I was gaining control over my life, it was just going bad. And then it had just hit the rock bottom, and I just wanted to put an end to this. Mm-hmm. And that is why I came back to Bangalore. Where I started.
Okay. So you've also told me that you went through a lot of depression there alone, and since you were away from family and your close friends here, how did you manage getting over that sad phase or rough time or the depression moment? How did you deal with all of that?
Yes, it was very, very depressing at times, especially because you're away from your home ground. Of course, I had no job back there, and all I was doing is a 24/7 homemaker's job, which is, I think, tougher than going to work and just finishing a 9 to 6 job. And of course, there was a whole, whirlpool going inside me, and my marriage was going through a very bad phase, and depression was hitting me at times, and any woman at that point of time probably would have thought of ending her life, and so did I. And the only inspiration, or the only reason why I wouldn't do something like that at the first place, was because it is wrong. And the second would be to look up at my son's innocent face and see what did he do wrong that I should do something like this and leave him abruptly. And so that kept me going, of course. And luckily, I got back on my own feet. I did manage to get a job even in Africa. And so then I again got a ray of hope that things were picking up, at least on the professional front. But my ex-husband had a transferable job. He had to move between countries in Africa, and it was not possible for me to chase and follow him everywhere, because at the end of the day, even my career was at stake. So I think I did the right choice. I did make the right choice of putting my stance very strong, and to come back to India, and of course ending that marriage was the first thing that I had to do so.
Okay. So how many years of marriage was that?
To be precise, it was 12 years. And yes, it did take a long time for me to decide. Although several times in these 12 years, I have asked this question to myself, and then I would also go and tell my spouse that probably I want to end this. But then due to societal pressure, due to the taboo of being a divorcee, and of course, coming from an Orthodox family, you always would go back and then make merry to whatever the condition was. And of course, there are certain things that you can accept, and then there are certain things that you can't accept. For me, the can't accept was getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And it was so heavy that probably I lost myself. I lost my confidence. I was not the same person I used to be, and I was living a complete different, compromising life where it was not worth it.
So how was the experience of breaking this news to your son? How did he deal with the change?
I was always a single parent, Geeta, to be honest, because again, bringing my ex in between, he had a very busy schedule. He used to work late hours. He would always be traveling. So me and my son had a very special bond right from day one, and we still continue and maintain that. So I was very transparent with my son, and of course in a very subtle way, because he's still very young and we don't want to disturb the young minds. There's a way of breaking things to him. So I did convince him and was very honest with him. And I think I was very lucky and fortunate that he was always with me. And I now think that I did take a right decision of giving my career a break and focusing on my son. And that is where the bond grew a little bit. And so he took it very positively, and he's with me here.
That's great. So you must have had a mentor or an inspiration who probably guided you into the to the person that you are today, who's more confident, who's overcome all of that and standing back on her own feet. So tell us about the mentor who guided you through.
No matter how much I say, I think he will always remain a very special person in my life. My guardian angel, of course, Sadhguru. He came into my life when I was going through this turmoil. And I did his inner engineering course back in Nairobi. And this was a gift on my birthday by my friends there. And of course, that whole inner engineering process made myself realize that I was worth doing a lot of other things, and my life was different than what life I was living back then. And I rediscovered myself in the whole process, and that did help me come out of it, to be precise. But yes, I would also like to thank my family, because family was always behind me. My parents, my mom, dad, and of course I have a younger sister. And of course I had a special friend also who I met online, and he was always with me. So they gave a lot of courage. And my friends back in Bangalore, I would keep in touch with them on WhatsApp, on Facebook, and they gave me a lot of courage to, take this decision and move out of this misery.
So, well, Anu, we are so happy that you're finally out of the misery and rough journey that we've been through. You've been bold enough to make a decision, stand by that. And yes, now moving on, let's talk about the Mr. Sunshine of your life. So tell us more about that, because there also I've seen you have broken the stereotypes and you went ahead, the rebel that you are. You've just chosen the person of your wish, of your dream, not really bothering about what the society could say or not bothering about anybody's judgment. So could you just talk something about that, Anu?
Okay, I wouldn't say that you're embarrassing me, but yes, you got me blushing there. But I would proudly say that yes, finally I found someone who is probably my soulmate. And not probably, but I'm confident now that he is, and he was the person that I was always looking for, because we do match in a lot of aspects, our mentality, the way we have passion towards music. And yes, we were friends before, and then the relationship grew stronger, and I slowly introduced him to my family. Of course, any parents in the beginning, they would be like raising eyebrows, and the society also would be raising eyebrows that you just came out of a marriage and then you're moving ahead with another relationship. Are you out of your head? Are you sure you're not taking too hasty decision? And again, you would probably go down the same track. And that's the fear any parents would have. But I needed to make sure that I was confident enough to convince them that yes, this is what I believe in. This is what I want to do. This is what makes me happy. So I put myself in the front line, and for a minute I became selfish, and every one of us have to be selfish at some point or the other. And I chose to be happy, and I did break this news to my parents. And although they were not supportive in the beginning, eventually when they saw me that I was happy and I was confident, and yes, I broke the stereotype. He's a few years younger to me, and people would still ask me, okay, so you have a young boyfriend there, and how are you taking this? For me, it was more of the click or the match that we had. Age is just a number for all of us. We are young at mind, great connect at heart, and what connects us is tremendous love and passion, both for life and music. Yeah. So I don't feel anything wrong moving from one relationship to the other, especially what keeps you happy. And this is what makes me happy right now. So why not? And I'm thankful that my parents and my friends have supported me even in this decision.
Absolutely. It's such a delight to hear your story, Anu. Now, one question to you, final one probably. How do you feel grooming helps an individual overcoming any such situations in life? Or how does it help someone to acquire better things in life, to feel confident? So what is your take?
I think grooming is everything, especially ever since I've come into marketing. I have had this phrase stuck in my head, "Jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai." Of course, with a lot of substance in it. Yeah. You can't have an empty, hollow inside you, and yet you go out. So it's the attitude, it's the body language, it's the posture, it's the confidence, it's probably the aura that you carry around yourself, and it's like a whole package. So grooming is very important, and with that comes self-awareness, being self-conscious. Okay. And if you notice, Geeta, that many a times when you speak to some people, you would see that in the first 2 to 3 minutes, they make such strong connect with you that they leave you quite spellbound, right? You would say, what a personality it is. Lovely, charismatic personality, right? Yes. So it is only because they are able to grab your attention. So how do they do that is probably get a better grooming of themselves, so that they are able to strike that impression on the opposite person, be it on the same sex or your opposite sex. They always know how to grab your attention. So grooming has to be there in your everyday life, be it at your home or when you're amongst your friends, or even at work. So I'm sure at Grooming Gurukul you do teach all this to your clients, and this is very, very important, Geeta, to move ahead, because it gives you an immense power and confidence to stand strong.
Absolutely. Very empowering to hear this and your story as well. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your story with us. There are many women out there who are so confused in the head. I'm sure this is going to give them some motivation, some inspiration, and some hope. Thank you so much, Anu, for being with us on this show.
Thank you so much, Geeta. This was lovely interacting and sharing my story tonight. And all the best to Grooming Gurukul for the future endeavors. And thank you. Stay safe.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.